Hari Om, everybody. So far in this chapter, we have seen the 20-point program which Bhagwan gave. The chapter is about Kshetra, understanding what Kshetra is, the field, and the knower of the field. The field was explained in a couple of verses because we are very, very adept in understanding what the field is. It's very easy to understand what the field is. Doesn't require much qualification. And so the two verses explained what the field was. And now, before going into Kshetrajna, Bhagwan gives us the 20-point program because there is a certain amount of qualification which is definitely required to understand Kshetrajna. So we saw the 20 virtues which Bhagwan calls as Jnanam. And we also saw that at one level, developing those virtues will take us to that goal, will take us to that knowledge, will take us to the Jnanam. But if you go look at those virtues from a higher standpoint, they themselves become Jnanam. We have seen that in detail. And then Bhagwan says that I will now tell you, we were on verse 13, I will now tell you, Etat Neyam Yattat Pravakshami. What is Neyam? What is to be known? Now I will tell you. So what is to be known is Kshetrajna. So I will tell you about the Kshetrajna, and knowing which, why should I know about the Kshetrajna? Knowing which you shall gain immortality. You will get Amritam, immortality. You will recognize yourself to be that eternal self. Immortality can never be with the body can never become immortal, but you will come to recognize that you are not the body and therefore you are eternal. As long as you consider yourself to be the body, the fear of death will remain, because then you are going to die for sure. Anadi Mat Param Brahma. What is that? That is that Brahman which is Anadi Mat, which is beginningless. And because it is beginningless, there is no beginning, it doesn't have an end, means it is eternal, means it is beyond time, means it is Nitya. So the beginning of a thing, logically, the way we explain or we understand is that to see the beginning of anything, we also have to know its absence before. Do you get this? This is logic. So right now, you are not seeing anything in my hand. Okay. Now you are seeing a pen in my hand. And now again, you don't see the pen in my hand. Now, to see the pen, if I say the pen, you started seeing the pen at this moment, but before that, you knew that you were not seeing the pen. Right? That's why you say that, oh, now I see the pen. But before that, you can vouch that the pen was not there in my hand. So for Brahman, if we say that Brahman started at this time, at this point, Brahman is existence. Okay. Now, if existence started at this point, who was there existing before to say that Brahman was not there? Birth or the beginning of a thing can only be proven by its prior absence. It was not there yesterday, it is there today, or it was not there at the last moment, and this moment it is there. But if existence only began at a particular moment, before that moment, who can vouch that there was there was no existence, nobody existing. So who can vouch for that absence? Because that absence, prior absence, cannot be vouched for, we say that Brahman has no beginning. Because there's nobody who can say that before. When I say that this child is born on a particular day, that means that I'm also saying, and I am there to say that yesterday this child was not there. I am there saying that this child was not there. And now I'm saying today this child is there. So that part with Brahman cannot be proved. We cannot say that Brahman is here today, but then where was Brahman? Yes, who is going to say that yesterday there was no Brahman? This is logic. Okay. What is known as prior absence? For the beginning, to understand that a particular thing has a beginning, its prior absence has to be proved, and which we cannot prove in case of Brahman. That is why this is Anadi, beginningless. And because it is beginningless, it cannot have an end also. Because if we say that this ended, then where did it begin again? So both of them go together. Anything that has a beginning will definitely have an end. So the body has a beginning and it definitely has an end. But Brahman, not having a beginning, cannot also have an end. And therefore, that knowing that, having known that, you understand, you will come to understand that you are immortal. You are actually immortal. We are actually immortal even right now. But as the body, we can never be. What we want to do is we want to remain immortal as the body. That is the thing which is not possible. That is what Anadi Brahma. Then we were on the word, it is beyond Sat and Asat. And there was a question here. Lakshman is not here today, but I am going to anyway explain the explanation to his, give the explanation to his question, because we need to move further. So the question was, for those of you who are not here and who have not heard the previous lecture, which I would, if you have not heard the previous one, please go ahead and see that on YouTube. The question was that here Bhagwan is saying that it is beyond Sat and Asat. And the way I explained it was, what we need to understand that Bhagwan cannot be called, not Bhagwan, but Brahman cannot be called as existing, nor can it be called as non-existing, because it is the substratum of existence and non-existence. The most couple of examples. One is, I know that I know physics. If I say I know physics, and then I also say, oh, I don't know chemistry. Now, how do I know that I know physics? And at the same time, there is a knower within me, which is telling me, which is making me aware that I don't know chemistry. So don't know is non-existence. Okay, so that non-existence also is being illumined by the knowledge principle, which is Brahman. That is how this is to be understood. Not only that the presence is being illumined, because I say, oh, this computer is here, this class is going on. So I am, the consciousness within me is illumining the presence of n number of people. It is at the same time illumining the absence of certain people. Same time, absence is being illumined. At the same time, presence and absence are both being illumined. Therefore, we cannot say that Brahman is either presence or absence. It is the substratum of both. The other example that I gave you was, if you walk into a very pitch dark room where you cannot see anything at all, even how they say, oh, I cannot even see the hand in front of my face. So outside is complete darkness. It is complete nothingness. It is absence of everything, which you are aware that there is nothing out there. But at the same time, you yourself are being illumined. Can you stand in the dark room and say, where am I? Where am I in this room? I don't see myself. Can you say that? Don't you know that you are standing in that room? You get this point? This is a very important point. So what is happening is, the awareness within you, which is the consciousness, which is the Satchitananda principle, is illumining your own presence in that pitch dark room. At the same time, simultaneously, it is illumining the darkness outside. So it is the illuminator of light. You yourself know, right? So you're the light inside, you know you're there. Nothing else you can see. But can you say, oh, I can't see myself? Yes, you cannot see your hand, but don't you know that you are in that dark room? So the knowledge of you being in there, as well as at the same time, the absence of all the other objects, are being illumined by that conscious principle. And that is what Brahman is. So it is neither the presence nor the absence. It is beyond both. That is how this is to be understood. Now the question came up. The question was, oh, but Upanishad says, and Taittiriya Upanishad says that Brahman is Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma. So Satchit and Ananda is Brahma. And Bhagwan here is saying it is beyond Sat. So how do we reconcile these? So the first thing that we must know and understand and have faith, that Neither is the Upanishad incorrect, nor is Bhagavad Gita incorrect. Both are absolutely correct. They're absolutely correct from their own standpoints. So it is up to us to understand what standpoint they are talking from. Okay? To give you a worldly example, there is a person who is standing on the ground floor of a building, and that same building, which is say 100 floors or 70, 80, 100 floors, the other person is standing on the rooftop. There are two people. One is standing on the ground floor. One is standing on the topmost floor, which is beyond 100 floors or whatever. Now, the person on the ground floor is saying, oh, what a big truck. My God, how much traffic. And this truck is so huge that is now coming towards me. Whereas the person who is standing on the top level is saying, huge? What huge? It is so tiny. Now, who do we say is right and who do we say is wrong? Neither one of them are wrong. From the person on the ground floor, yes, it is a big truck that is coming at him. And the person on the rooftop, no, he's looking down. So for him, it is a very tiny toy truck. It's like a toy truck. So neither one of them is wrong. The one who is understanding these two people, and that understanding needs to be corrected. So for us also, we have heard the Upanishad. We are also listening to Bhagavad Gita. There seems to be an apparent contradiction. Taittiriya Upanishad is saying Brahman is Sat. Bhagavad Gita is saying Brahman is beyond Sat. Now we need to understand this as per our listening. Now, in Taittiriya Upanishad or any Upanishad, where the Guru is giving a discourse, we have seen that there are 6 means of knowledge. We have seen that. Direct perception, inference, comparison, and then absence. And then there is the Shabda Praman. And we have always said that Vedanta is, you can only know it by Shabda Praman, words of the Shruti. Not any words, but words of the Vedas or words of the Shruti. This is the only means of knowing. Now, Brahman actually is beyond words. It's beyond words. But our intellect can only understand words. So how can the teacher teach the student without words? Because the student cannot understand without words. So now the question is asked, what is Brahman? This Brahman you talk about, what is it? So the teacher describes the Brahman, Brahman cannot be described, okay? But if the teacher says, I cannot describe Brahman, understand it yourself, how is the student supposed to understand? The student cannot understand without words. So words are used. They say Brahman is existence. It is the existence principle, it is the conscious principle, and it is the bliss principle. Now, the next, further in the Upanishad, these words are explained more. But at this point, what we have to understand is that when the teacher is teaching the student, words have to be used. That is the only means of knowledge. And words are used. So now when words are used to describe something, what happens is it becomes an objective knowledge. Think about it. So now the student is thinking there is this Brahman over here, which is of the nature of existence, consciousness, and bliss. And I am over here. That is objective knowledge. Like if I say this cup is blue, or this mug is blue, or whatever, or it has a design. Now, this is objective knowledge. The mug is over here and I am over here, and now I'm seeing this mug as blue. So now when we are told Brahman is Sat, so okay, Sat is here and I am here, and this is Brahman, which is Sat. Is that the correct understanding of Brahman? Is Brahman something outside of us? Is it an object to be understood? No, it is not. But when words are used, understanding becomes objective. So if we are understanding Brahman as being over here, which is Sat Chit Ananda, that is an absolutely incorrect understanding. It is not an object. It can never become an object. It is the final subject. It is the final seer. Now, in the Upanishad, further, all those things will be explained. But what is happening is we are just holding on to one part of the Upanishad. Just one line we are holding on to, saying Brahman is Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. That we are holding. We have not read further. Now the further part here Bhagwan is telling us. So Bhagwan, what he's doing here by saying understand it to be beyond Sat and Asat, Bhagwan is actually telling Arjun and telling us through Arjun, please do not understand it as an object. This is what Bhagwan is saying. Words, see, when we in the objective world, there are 4 ways in which anything can be explained. There are only 4 ways. Guna, Jati, Guna, Kriya, and Sambandha. Now let's see, what is Jati? Species. Species. Suppose if I have to explain something to you, some object, I can either say, oh, that's a human being, or I can say that is a mammal, you know, an animal, a dog, a cat, or it's a reptile. Then you will get the idea of, oh, then it looks like it must be a snake or something like that. Or it's a bird, so something which is flying in the air. Or then it's a plant, which is something rooted in the ground. So that is what is Jati, what is meant by Jati. So this is one way of explaining anything in this world to us. Okay, by species. It's of the human species. I saw this weird thing, you know. Oh, so what is it? Is it, did you see like a weird human being? No, it's not human, you know, but it is an animal. So now you get an idea, she's not talking of a 2-legged animal, but a 4-legged animal. Or if I say, you know what, that was like a reptile. So now you know that is something crawling on the ground. So that is one way of describing. The second way, Jati, Guna. Guna is attribute. I can say, you know, in a room full of people, suppose somebody asks me, oh, who is this? But I can say, oh, you know, that lady who's wearing a blue sari, or that somebody who has got this long hair, or, you know, that short, really short person, that is the one you're talking about, or something tall. So some Guna, some attribute I can point out. That lady who, or person who's wearing a suit, or he's wearing a blue suit or a green suit or a gray suit. So that way I can indicate. That is another way of indicate. How do you indicate in this objective world? There are only these 4 methods. Jati, species, then Guna, then Kriya. Kriya is occupation. What is the person doing? Oh, that person is a doctor. Oh, that one is a software engineer. Oh, that one is so and so. That one is so and so. So this is another way of describing words. These are words which can describe these things in the objective world. And the last one is Sambandha, relationship. Oh, who are you? Oh, I'm Neil's mom. This is very typical in elementary schools, because they don't know your name. So, oh, who are you? Oh, I'm Neil. They know Neil. They know my son, or they know my daughter. I'm so-and-so's mother. Or this person is so-and-so's father. This person is my brother. This is my sister. This is my friend, my enemy. So Sambandha. So this is another way of describing. Words in the objective world can be described by these 4 indicators. Now, if Brahman is to be described by words, does Brahman have a species, Jati? It doesn't. So you can't use Jati to explain Brahman. You cannot say Brahman is human being, Brahman is mammal, Brahman is reptile. You cannot say like that. Okay, then Guna. Does it have any attributes? The thing to be understood, therefore, when we say Brahman is Satchit Ananda, sometimes people misunderstand that they are attributes of Brahman. Attribute is something which can go away. So is Sat an attribute, existence? Is it an attribute of Brahman, or is Brahman itself existence? Therefore, this Guna also cannot be used. What I'm getting at, please understand, is there is no word which can describe Brahman. In the world, yes, words, a lot of words. And even that, though there are a lot of words, basically these are the only 4 things by which you can understand something else, or somebody else, or some other object. So does Brahman have any gunas? Like Brahman is blue. Like I say, oh, that person who's wearing the blue sari, Brahman, oh, that's the one, blue color Brahman, red colored Brahman. We cannot say. Then Kriya, job. Is Brahman a doctor or an engineer or a janitor or whatever? No, no. The body is whatever. Body intellect is doctor, engineer, janitor, software, cook, pilot, whatever. Is Brahman all those things? Even Jiva is not that. So you cannot explain Brahman by that. And the final is Sambandha. Can you say Brahman is my brother? I can say, oh, this one, oh, that's my friend. Oh, that one, that's my sister. That's my so-and-so. That's my student. That's my teacher. Is Brahman anybody's teacher? Is Brahman teaching anything to anybody? Is Brahman doing anything for anybody? Because Brahman is non-doer. So you cannot explain Brahman by words. And this is what Bhagwan means here. That don't get into the, if you get caught in words, you are caught in the web. You can never go beyond. You have to go beyond words. Even though Shabda Praman, the words are the only way, because the question will arise, if I have to go beyond words, why are you using words? Because your intellect, my intellect is limited. It cannot understand without words. Now what to do? What to do? So you have to use words, but you have to go beyond. This is what Bhagwan, this is the difference. In the Upanishad, the first line itself, the Guru in the chapter, first line starts with Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. So the first thing he has explained by words, later on that will come, the portion will come even there. And here that is what Bhagwan is trying to tell Arjun, don't get caught up in words. Because I cannot explain you, nobody can explain Brahman with words. These are the only 4 things words can do. Explain by Jati, Guna, Kriya, Sambandha. Brahman doesn't fall in any, it doesn't fall in any species, it doesn't have any attributes, it has no Kriya, it has no occupation, and it has no connection with anybody. I cannot say Brahman is my brother or sister or friend or enemy. I am Brahman. I am myself Brahman. How can I say there is a relationship? And that is what needs to be understood. When we get caught in words, we can never go beyond words. And this is what Bhagwan is trying to tell Arjun, that understand it to be neither Sat nor Asat. Because Sat and Asat are pairs of opposite. Brahman is not one opposite. When you say Brahman is light, if you say light, that means it is opposed to darkness. If you say Brahman is knowledge, that means it is opposed to ignorance. Brahman is not opposed to anything, to anybody. Brahman is the one that is supporting, Brahman is the one that was supporting Arjun as well as Duryodhan. So you cannot say Brahman is Arjun and Duryodhan is not Brahman. You cannot say that. That is incorrect understanding. Are there any questions on this point? Is this clearly understood?
I just want to say, just same as there are 2 types of knowledges. We use knowledge as external for different things, and there is a knowledge of ourselves. Same way, when we were using Sat for something not changed in 3 periods of time, it's referred to one thing, and here Sat and Asat are used to different sense. So just different meanings, same word. So limitation in words.
Yeah. That's why it is the problem with words, which we have always seen. One problem with words, it has multiple meanings. I've given you the example. If I say table, do I mean a dining table or do I mean a mathematical table? You wouldn't know unless there is a reference, unless there is a context. So the problem with words is it has multiple meanings. That is why we need commentators like Bhagwan Shankaracharya or Anandagiri or whoever, Madhusudan Saraswati, to explain what that word means in that context. That understanding we must have. If we start saying, oh, but that Guru said Brahman is Sat, and now Bhagwan Shri Krishna is saying it is beyond Sat, then that's not correct. And the faith must be that whatever is said in Bhagavad Gita and whatever is said in Upanishad is correct. Is correct. Okay? So please understand it that way. It is not opposed to anything. Brahman is not opposite of anything. The world, Kshetra is always pairs of opposites. There will always be sunshine and darkness, winter, summer, autumn, fall, spring, always heat, cold, joy, sorrow, honor, dishonor. That is all Kshetra. So if we say Brahman is opposed to something, you put Brahman in Kshetra only. And that's not possible. That's not possible. That's not correct. Okay? All right. Now, there is more explanation about Kshetrajna. So we'll see that. Sarvata panipadam tata sarvato shiromukham sarvata shrutimaloke sarvamavritya tishtati. With hands and feet everywhere, with eyes, heads and mouths everywhere, with ears everywhere, he exists in the world, enveloping all. So the first question might come, is he a biological freak? Like if he has hands everywhere. So the first thing we must understand, hands and feet everywhere means eyes, heads, mouths everywhere means every single hand that you see, every single leg that you see, every single eye, every single nose, mouth, ears, whatever that you see is functioning because of him. That's the first time. So if I were to give you an example of electricity and the appliances, there are many appliances in any particular house. There is a range, there is TV, there is a phone, there is dishwasher, microwave, oven, many. So this is like electricity saying, I have dishwashers everywhere, I have ranges everywhere, I have microwaves everywhere, I have TVs everywhere. Means what? Means every single TV in this entire universe is dependent on me for functioning. Agree? Can you have any appliances functioning without electricity? Every single dishwasher, every single range, every single microwave is functioning because of me. So I have dishwashers everywhere. They are all dependent on me. In chapter 7, Bhagavan said, they are in me, I am not in them. So that is also the meaning. They are dependent on me, I am not dependent on them. And this is what is meant here, Sarvata Panipadam. Okay, that no organ, no, what are these? These are all organs. These are all, this is the gross body that this verse is talking about. Next verse will talk about the subtle body. There is no gross body in this world which can function without the presence of the supreme reality. That is what Bhagavan is saying here. Okay, so it is that because of which everybody is functioning. And when he says body of humans, animals, plants, reptiles, anybody that has a body, and if it is moving, it is functioning, it is because of Brahman. So what is being described in this word? We have seen these two words, Nirakara Brahman and Sakara, Saguna and Nirguna Brahma. We have heard these words. Okay, so previously, what was explained in the previous word, when he said it is beyond Sat and Asat, he was explaining Nirguna Brahma, no gunas, there is no attributes, Nirvikara, Nirvikalpa Samadhi we have to reach. That was being explained there. Now he's explaining Saupadhika with Upadhi. This verse is saying that wherever there is an Upadhi, it is only me. And what is Upadhi? Wherever you see a body, wherever you see hands, wherever you see legs, wherever you see eyes, mouth, ears, whatever you see in this world is me only. Means it's functioning because of me. So this is with Upadhi. This is a description, Upadhi of the gross body. Okay? This is a description of Brahman with gross body. Because With gross body means what? Not that Brahman has a gross body, but if you see a gross body, if you're seeing a body, then the functioning of that body is happening only because of Brahman. Do you agree? Does a person who is dead, can he function? You see the body there. Can he talk? Can he see? Can he move? Can he eat? Right? So if you're seeing something moving, Brahman is there. Not that, of course, dead body, that is another explanation, that even in dead body, there is the existence principle, but not the conscious principle. Okay? Because the subtle body is left. Is this clear? Are there any questions? Do you understand this? This is same. This, please understand that all of us are dependent on Brahman. And that is our experience. If you can't breathe, you can't function. Okay? So two explanations. By saying that I have hands and legs everywhere, all the hands and legs are functioning because of me. That's number one. Second is, I have everywhere means these are all my upadhis. These are all my manifestations. Because the Brahman is manifesting as the body. Brahman only is manifesting as the subtle body. There is nothing other than Brahman. Everything else is asat. Remember that. Everything, therefore, body is kshetra. It is asat. But what it means is, if the body is asat, okay, that doesn't mean that it is false. It is not like horns on the rabbit. What it means is that the body is there, but that upadhi doesn't have any effect on Brahman. If you go to the snake and rope example, can the poison of the snake ever affect the rope? You think? Can the snake bite the rope? And yet I'm seeing the snake and I get afraid. I feel afraid, right? So what is meant by asat? You know, this is going a little bit deeper. What is meant by asat is not that we cannot see it, because I do see all the bodies. You see my body, I see your body. But all our bodies cannot have any effect on Brahman. We see the snake, but we must know that the snake can never do any harm to the rope. Okay? That is what is meant. Are you getting this? Or no? You're getting it? Raj, Nitasha, getting it? Okay. All right. That is what is meant. Okay. So once again, 14 is talking about gross body. 15 will talk about subtle body. We know there are three bodies, right? Gross, subtle, and causal. So it's talking about gross body, where Bhagavan Shri Krishna is saying that this it, which is Brahman, which is Kshetrajna, has got hands and legs. And hands and legs means gross bodies everywhere, meaning no gross body can function without it. Meaning, this is how you actually, if you want to see Brahman, you have to see movement. The very fact that I'm speaking tells you that there is this consciousness principle within me. Because if you see a dead body, it is not going to talk, it is not going to move. Okay? All right. Next. Sarvendriya guna bhasam, sarvendriya vivarjitam, asaktam sarvabhrachaiva, nirgunam guna bhoktrucha, shining by the functions of all the senses, yet without the senses, unattached, yet supporting all, devoid of qualities, yet their experiencer. So Brahman is once again being described with respect to the subtle body. So the senses here, Sarvendri Indriya Guna Abhasam. Indriya is senses. Senses is fleshy eyes, we already talked about in 14. See, Indriya is our senses. Now senses is there is a fleshy eye, then there is a power of seeing also, right? We know there are people who are blind, whose fleshy eyes are absolutely beautiful, and you wouldn't even know that the person can't see. So there is what is known as a fleshy eye, and then there are the senses. which are the power of seeing, power of smelling, power of taste, hearing, etc. So what he's saying, shining by the functions of all the senses means the senses, when I see, it is the power of Brahman because of which I can see. It is the power of Brahman by which I can feel. The mind feels, right? Has emotions. How do I know that I'm happy? How do I know that I'm sad? How do I know that I'm depressed? How do I know that? That is what is meant by shining by the functions of the senses. Means when the senses are functioning, when the mind is functioning, know that Brahman is at play there. It is because of Brahman. Brahman is at play doesn't mean Brahman is moving around or anything like that, but it is because of this Brahman that the senses are functioning, yet without the senses. So it is, understand this like the gross body. Does Brahman have a gross body? No, Brahman doesn't, because we already said guna, kriya, it doesn't have anything. So Brahman doesn't have a gross body, yet all the gross bodies are functioning only because of Brahman. Same way. All the subtle bodies, so the mind, intellect, memory, power of seeing, power of smelling, etc., are functioning because of Brahman, but Brahman itself doesn't have eyes. Brahman doesn't have a mind. Brahman doesn't have a mouth to talk. Okay, that is what is meant by shining by the functions of all the senses, yet without the senses. It itself doesn't have any senses, but if you see a subtle body somewhere, if you see a person who is thinking, if you see a person who is sad, then that sadness, that thoughts, all those things are because of Brahman. Okay, supporting all. What is supporting all? Means without that support, nobody can feel. Unless Brahman is present in me, I cannot talk. I won't be able to talk. I won't be able to see. I won't be able to move. Supporting all. Electricity. Let's take electricity once again. Isn't electricity supporting all the appliances in our houses? Right? Is it or is it not? Can you function? Can you unplug your range and then try to cook food on it? You can do it. Anybody can do it in the world. No, that is what is, yeah. And is electricity the range? Does electricity have the form of a range? Electricity is formless. Electricity has no attributes, right? Electricity is not microwave, but can the microwave function without electricity? This is what is meant. Can the senses function? Can the mind function without Brahman? No. Does Brahman have a mind? No. Devoid of qualities, guna rahita, we said guna is, qualities is something which can go away. A blue cloth, it can lose color, it can lose the blue color, then some other color will come, can be put on it also. You know, you can dye a cloth into some other color. So goodness, every quality can go away. Memory, you say, I have such a great memory, people get dementia, then they start losing their memory. So whatever quality that we have is to the upadhi, to this equipment, and it can go away. So Brahman doesn't have any qualities. Therefore, Brahman can never become less or more. It is not like Brahman has a great memory, and that memory can then, if we say Brahman has memory, then that memory can diminish. We say we have great memory, and then the person is now, as gets older, forgetting things. So Brahman is without memory, but all the memory that everybody has is being supported by Brahman. Yet they're devoid of qualities, yet they're experiencer. So as the ego, it experiences. That is what we see, ego, which is Kshetra. Brahman does not have a mind, okay? What the joy and sorrow that is felt is because of the mind. And Brahman does not have antakarana. It has no gross body, it has no subtle body. So Brahman cannot feel. Please understand. So Brahman cannot get angry. Brahman cannot become happy. Brahman cannot become sad. Brahman cannot be jealous. Brahman is jealous. There's nothing like that in Brahman. But it is their experiencer means what? Means as the ego, because of Brahman, ego. What is ego? Ego is a reflection of the pure self in the mind, right? So when it's said here, yet their experiencer, it feels jealous, happy, sad, whatever that it feels, as the ego it feels. The reflection feels all that. But as Brahman, there are no feelings. There are no feelings. So this is subtle body. This is what is describing subtle body. Do you have questions in these two? Okay. I'm going to stop here.